America's public school system has a racial diversity problem. Although more than 56% of public school students are Asian, Black, and Latino, almost 80% of its teaching force is white. And because the teaching force is so white, those who make and implement K-12 policy decisions for communities of color are pretty white too. 77% of principals are white, 89% of superintendents are white, and 79% of school board members are white. This stubborn problem is a result of a few things: historic and contemporary systemic racism, state and district K-12 policy decisions, and racial biases in the hiring process. This mismatch and racial representation between students and educators deprives communities of color access to stable, middle-class jobs, and more importantly, it's a big reason why white students continually outperform students of color, according to several studies. So how did we get here? Well, it's complicated. Since its beginning, America's teaching force has been made up of mostly women who administrators perceived as cheap, accessible labor. While teaching was one of the few jobs available to Black professionals in the Jim Crow South, white school board members limited the number of schools available to Black students. Those schools were typically understaffed with underpaid teachers. In the years after World War II, states started consolidating school districts and standardizing the hiring and licensing process of teachers. While teachers band together in unions to fight off the new mandates, many unions disallowed teachers of color from joining. Also, because people of color couldn't attend most accredited colleges, teaching started to become an exclusively white workforce. The historic Brown v. Board of Education decision, which ended the legal segregation of America's public school system, was counterintuitively devastating to Black teachers. White superintendents of the newly integrated school districts were hostile toward putting Black teachers and principals in charge of white students and began to lay off tens of thousands of credentialed Black educators. According to one estimate, in the 17 states with segregated school systems, between 35 and 50% of teachers were Black. Today, only 7% of teachers and 11% of principals are Black. And America is pretty bad at hiring from other communities of color too. Latino students today make up almost a quarter of the entire public school enrollment, and yet only 9% of teachers are Latino. And Asian Americans, which make up 5% of America's student body and are arguably the fastest growing ethnic group in America, make up only 2% of teachers. When it's time to be promoted to leadership positions, educators of color disproportionately struggle. According to one study, Black assistant principals had to wait more than a year and a half longer than white candidates to be promoted into principal positions, and were 18% less likely than equally qualified candidates to be promoted. And because school board members are mostly white, they're far more likely to hire a white person to lead their district, who then is far less likely to advocate for a more diverse administrative and teaching staff. Even when school districts do manage to hire and promote educators of color, they struggle to retain them for a variety of reasons. Their schools are more likely to serve an extraordinarily high number of impoverished students who require more out-of-school support. And their administrators are less likely to be able to afford the sorts of compensation packages wealthier districts can. That's not all. Throughout the school day, teachers of color are more likely to have other teachers comment on the style of their clothing, hair, and even teaching practices. The racially hostile political climate in recent years doesn't help. In all, teachers of color are more likely to say they don't feel welcomed inside their school buildings. So why does it matter that America's public school workforce is so white? For students of color, the teaching force's racial biases result in lowered expectations and higher suspension and expulsion rates. They are also less likely to be chosen for gifted programs and advanced coursework, and academically, they perform significantly worse than their white peers. For example, in the most recent Nation's Report Card, white students perform 35 points higher than Black students in math. This can all be overwhelming, but there are signs of hope and a few potential solutions. Many districts have recently prioritized diversifying their teaching and administrative staffs. While districts have a difficult time retaining teachers of color, the rate of hiring in Black and Latino teachers has incrementally improved in recent years. Many states are beginning to invest in the success of their historically Black colleges, which graduate a large portion of teachers of color. and district's human resource departments are coming up with unique hiring strategies to recruit more teachers of color, including reconsidering their bias screening questions, holding job fairs in communities of color, and hiring earlier in the year. For more information on this and other education stories, visit edweek.org.